Even after Mim mentioned how they'd been in the forest for possibly longer than a year, none of them batted an eye. James couldn't help but laugh a little, which caused him to swallow some of the stew down the wrong pipe. Coughing, he was also laughing at the same time. "You know you're not supposed to breathe in the stew, right?" Maya teased. No one attempted to try and pat his back, considering the armor he was wearing and how pointless it would be. "What's happening over here?" Adam asked as he walked over with his bowl of stew. "James is just choking," Maya casually mentioned. Peter and Kate shook their heads as they sat down on the ground next to one another. "You okay there?" Adam asked, the twitching of the corner of his mouth revealing the fact that he wasn't worried. Clearing out his throat, James took in a deep breath. "Thanks for all the sympathy." He glared at everyone. "I was confident that you'd recover." Mim smiled. Rolling his eyes, James took another sip of the stew, this time making sure not to choke on it. "This is definitely the longest request we'll have been assigned," Adam said as he sat down, glancing at James as though making sure that James didn't start coughing again. Convinced that nothing was going to happen, he looked at Mim. "For us, this is also the longest request. I doubt anyone, even in other branches of the guild, have taken a quest that lasts more than a year," Mim said. "It's not like anyone could afford to hire adventurers for such a long time," Kate said. She drank some of the stew. Nodding, Peter added, "From what I understand, they try to limit hiring adventurers when they expect a certain area to be more dangerous than usual. Many of the roads either have a steady flow of traffic or they're well maintained with patrols." Naylor said in a gruff voice, "It's why merchants will often travel in a caravan. Such a strategy allows them to split the cost to hire guards that can cover multiple wagons in the group." Listening to the dwarf, James agreed with the thinking. The main reason why they likely saw adventurers acting as guards was due to where they were being in a remote location. It would mean that merchants wouldn't have as easy of a time finding merchants heading in the same direction. They likely moved together and then split off at a larger city, where competent adventurers could be hired. The people who were previously hired would cease guarding the caravan. He thought about what he'd heard in the guild from those that lived in the simulation. Even with the message boards, James found that not everything could be learned from reading what other adventurers said. The number of adventurers that existed in the same area was pretty low with how many portals existed in the Adventurers Guild of an underground city. It meant that adventurers would frequently change up where they went, depending on their levels. There was even the possibility that something would happen inside the portal selected. This meant that lower-level adventurers would need to leave the simulated environment to choose a different portal. A lower-level adventurer relied on matching monsters. If they were to challenge a stronger monster, then they'd end up getting killed or eaten, and have to go through the process of coming back. Getting laughed at was also a likely possibility. The more experienced adventurers teasing the less experienced adventurers about not taking on more than they could handle. Wouldn't it be interesting if, after we complete this request, someone decides to create a road through the forest? Sam asked, carrying his bowl of stew. Mim looked above them as though contemplating the idea. In his mind, James was thinking what it would look like creating a road of such magnitude. "It would definitely be costly," Maya said. Celine nodded at Maya's words. "I don't care for the idea of so many trees being destroyed to complete such a task."